my dome. Concrete walls, yeah, it's my home. Stockpile stacked with rations tight. Prep for the dark, we'll light the fight. Forage the woods, take what I need. Off-grid living, no time for greed. Barter goods in the shadow shade. Tactical steps in plans I've laid. Back to the bunker where the truth won't bend. Water and food where the road might end. Bug out bags by the door, stand tall, prepared for the fall. Yeah, prepared for it all. Generators hum, a comforting sound. Blackout nights when chaos surrounds. Seeds in jars, yeah, we're growing life. Homesteading strong in a time of strife. No high-tech wires, no web to roam. Resilience beats the world unknown. Hands in the soil, hearts in the fight. Staying ready every day, every night. Back to the bunker where the truth won't bend. Water and food where the road might end. Bug out bags by the door, stand tall, prepare for the fall. Yeah, prepare for it all. Back through the bunker where the truth won't bend. Water and food where the road might end. Bug out bags by the door, stand tall, prepare for the fall. Yeah, prepare for it all. Prepare for it all.
Okay. Hey, how we doing, guys? Good to see you tonight. Good to see you. For those of you that have been waiting for this all day long, thank you very much. I don't want to keep the man hanging too long because I've already been chewing his ear for the last half an hour. Let's go ahead and introduce. Let's get him into the stream. It's going to be Keith. Keith, guys, if you don't know who Keith is, he is the Common Sense Practical Prepper. We had some great conversations earlier, even though they were short. So to introduce Keith, he is he's the host of a podcast by the same name, the Common Sense Practical Prepper. He's a self-described novice prepper. He shares his experience, successes, and mistakes in prepping and long-term food storage. You can find this guy on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and another one that I actually have a link to below. I don't actually remember. I'm going to give me a second there because I have made some adjustments. I don't think it's fair to have the chat over the top of your face.
No, it's on the right side of my monitor.
I'm saying so that you don't see. Okay, I get you. Hold on a second here. That is something that I was playing with earlier, and I don't know why. Give me one. It's always one thing, guys. Obviously, in the chat there, make sure that you guys check in and for recording, account settings, show names, speakers, screen on. Oh, this is such a pain in the butt. When things go wrong, it just like you can't win, man. You can't win. I'm in settings. I'm really professional at this. I can tell already. Cloud recording, name, stream avatar. There's used to be this thing in here where you just toggled whether you wanted the chat. You wanted things in the chat or not. I may have to leave it there. I'm not exactly sure if this is going to work. Style design. Maybe it's in design. Logo color. All right. So yeah, I'm just not being a pro at this today. So we're gonna have to roll with what we got here. I don't like it,
That's
but
fine.
it is
That's
what
fine.
it is. Maybe if I click on it, drag to reorder. Nope, that's not working either. That is not working either. You know what? Here, we're gonna do it this way. Here, is that better? we'll put the chat over me anyway. So Keith has decided to come on here and tell us about his preparedness journey. I guess Keith, so all introductions taken care of. What decided to get you into preparedness?
Yeah, it was really quite by accident, just on a lark. It started about 5 years ago, and on my podcasts and when I talk to folks, I strip as much politics out of the conversation as I can. You're always going to upset somebody, so I strip that out as best I can when it comes to what I talk about, and it just had to do with the economy. And funny enough, I talk about the thing on my podcast. I call it the corn index. And I went to Walmart, and the first thing I bought was I call it a flat or a case of corn, just great value, really crappy corn. And it was 48 cents a can. And it's what, 20 cans, 10 cans. Anyway, it came out to $48 for all the corn.
Wow.
And I purchased a bunch of other things. And I kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And I started seeing the price of corn start to rise. And I checked it about a month ago, and that same amount of corn is about 68 cents a can. So I'm terrible at math. So it went from 48 cents to 68 cents. And so right now in my pantry, I'm eating 48 cents a can of corn, so I don't have to buy the 68-cent can of corn. And the reason I prep, it's a hedge on inflation. I'm not waiting for the zombie apocalypse. I'm not waiting for a society to decay to the point where we've got gangs of marauding thieves running up and down the streets of my neighborhood looking for food and water. Although that's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities. And that's how I started, because I'm a firm believer in that it is your responsibility to take care of yourself and to take care of your family. Nobody else is going to help you. Nobody's coming to help. When the poop hits the fan, you dial 911, you're going to get a busy signal. I was a police officer for 26 years, and 90% of the time I saw the worst of everybody. Every once in a while, I see some good, but it's up to us. It's up to you, your neighbors, your friends, whoever you have in your little group, to take care of yourself, because I talk about supply chain issues. Everybody knows it, COVID. Why we couldn't get toilet paper for 6 months, I have absolutely no idea. I'm not sure who said there's not going to be any toilet paper in the world because of COVID. Now, there were significant supply chain issues, and a lot of people don't realize that, like your Kroger, if Kroger does not get their truck on Monday, by Thursday, 90% of that store is going to be empty. If you go into a grocery store at 9, 10 o'clock at night, the stock boys and girls are putting up stuff as fast as they can. So that's just through normal purchasing. If you add a supply chain issue, power outage, what have you, you have the people that are going to panic buy, like everybody panic bought toilet paper and paper towels and vinegar, and every wanted to make their own hand gel and that sort of thing. If you tack on panic buying, I give you 36 to 48 hours before your local Kroger or your local grocery store is going to be empty. So it could be something simple. I mean, it could be a hurricane, that knocks out power for an extended period of time. And I'm on the East Coast. I'm here in Richmond, Virginia. We see our share of hurricanes, not to the extent of the Southeast, but we still catch plenty of them. And, if you're stuck at home and you can't get out, you live out in the country, you've got trees down, no power to the grocery stores. I mean, you're on your own. And so I guess that's what started it. I realized that it was up to me to make sure that, myself and my family would be taken care of in the event whatever happened, something relatively minor and something relatively major.
Yeah, I think that's actually the way it ends up happening. I'm going to move this over here. There we go. There we go. So it's not. There we go. I think that's actually the way it happens a lot. What I've seen is that, you either kind of grew up into it and didn't know it. You know, most kids don't even know what a pantry is. They just,
Right.
that's that closet that's in the kitchen or whatever, you know.
Yep.
But I think that they either grow up into it or they have a life event that makes them start to realize, they have that aha moment, you know, not quite an epiphany, but they have that aha moment where they realize, wait a minute, you know, I should probably be doing something about this situation. You know, mine was in 2008. You know, I started watching the economy do stupid things. I
Oh
mean, I
yeah.
was making good money, but I was like, you know what, this could go bad overnight. You know, and that's when I started. You know, and actually, I had my own company, and just contracts got pulled right out from underneath me like it was cool, just like
Right.
that, just a snap of a
Right.
finger. Where am I going to get? You know, what I've got money in the bank, but where's the next bit of money coming from? Where's the next bit of food
Right.
coming from? And so,
Right.
yeah, that's I think that you know, creative redundancy says sudden realization. And you know what? I kind of screwed up. Because I always talk to the first few people that come in here. And so we got Alrighty Then. He's my favorite Canadian. He's first. You got Rose Styler. She's number 2. And where we got West Virginia Pappy is deterred. And I say it like that purposely. We got Deanna. We got Skane's Girl. Who else we got in here? We got Ohio Valley Prepping, Debbie Chandler, LMDMT. You told me what that meant, but I don't remember. It's nothing bad. Catitude, the favorite girl who loves to dress me up in things. We got UK Urban Prepper, like we were talking. I know. I saw that look on your face.
I'm not going to ask. Too much information.
She sent me, she's one of my very first members ever. And she sent me way back in Patreon days, she sent me a pink singlet. All the girls ganged up on me. At one time, my followership was 62% female. And they all ganged up and they bought me a pink singlet. So I felt loyal and I had to wear it. And so I put it on. I jumped in front of a full length mirror and I went, ha! And then I jumped back and they all got to look at it for like about an hour. And then boom, taken down. But she sends me all sorts of crazy stuff. I got a crazy hat they make me wear from time to time, things like that. But let's see. We got Grit and Grace is in the house. Who else? We had Creative Redundancy. I think I said that already. And Ian showed up. Good to see you. Me. All right. And let's see here. Rose says the TP issue was people really hoarding to the point post pandemic. It was noted someone tried to return gross amounts of TP, but the store manager refused to accept and return and walked away. You should be able to see the chat. Shouldn't you, Keith?
I can see it, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure because sometimes it's like I'm going to react to that, and then you know, it slips our minds. But you know, it's I'm trying to think it. I'm so scatterbrained because I really want that chat to go away, but I can't figure out how to get rid of it. I was like, I'm just going to let him talk while I try to figure out what the hell is going on here. Where are we at here? Prep. No, that's not the right one. Practical Prepper. Let's see here. And if you guys didn't know, as usual, we had a massive nothing wanted to work when I would turn this thing on today. But so I guess the next question is the podcast, man. You know, I mean, you started a podcast. You've been doing it since 2022.
Right.
You're on all the major platforms. What made you decide to do that?
Again, another really good question. I just did it on a lark. You know, and I talked about this in the podcast that I posted last night. You know, there's a stigma, a negative stigma, I guess, to prepping to some extent in some countries. And I knew that there's plenty of folks out there that were preppers, that did prepping in, you know, all sorts of different scales, different type. And I guess it was just my kind of way of just reaching out. I'm by far not an expert, and you know, and through you know, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and you know, talked about you know, generators and solar generators and all sorts of things, backup power supply, and I got into it, and I'm thinking, well, let me go ahead and just throw my 2 cents in. certainly not an expert, but just like doing the podcast, I tell folks about my successes, my failures. Don't do what I did, in in some particular instance. So yeah, that was it. It was just, I'll just give it a shot, and if I get a couple people listening, that's great. If I don't, then it's just me talking to myself.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the thing about podcasts. I did a podcast for a little while, and it after a while, it really is just you relaying your thoughts out, and if they're listening, they're listening. With YouTube, it's a little bit different, but in the end, I mean, did you? So, what have you gained? I mean, like overall, like who you are as a prepper? Have you become a better prepper because of the podcast? Has it made you think more? I mean,
Yeah,
what are your gains from it?
yeah, because as I think about content, what I want to talk about, I'm got a couple thoughts rattling around in my head on something might post later on this week. It just gets me to thinking, and the deeper I go into it, I'll jump online, I'll do some research, I'll look at listen to some other podcasts, some other YouTube videos, and it's there's a learning curve to it, and it's like anything else. It's when you start out, you're always going to get additional information, and you continue to grow. And as I always tell folks, that as long as you're moving forward, even just a little bit, then you're going to make strides. You're going to improve, whatever it happens to be. It doesn't have to be prepping; it could be another hobby or in your career. But it was just getting the information and gathering information from multiple sources, and then making up my own mind about how I wanted to steer my preps, or a particular subject I wanted to talk about. So yeah, as time goes by, and the more folks I listen to, the more things I read, and the more prepping becomes more mainstream, at least here in the United States. That's really all I can ask for.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So what is your what's your if you can talk about it, what's your latest preparedness project?
Well, it's going to be, I'm going to talk about a little bit about my solar setup here. I have my Florida room. I have two enormous oak trees in my backyard, and I love my shade. And I've spoken to several solar companies, and that's a whole different conversation about putting solar panels on your roof and the financing and all that. But it's I all these companies are like, well, you're really going to have to chop down these trees if you want to get a good return on your investment. And I'm like, no, I really like the shade in my Florida room in the spring and the summer. I'm keeping the trees. And so what I've done is I have a large mobile solar array, I guess. I bought a ground mount from Signature Solar, and I put a bunch of 4x4s underneath it, bolted it in, went to Tractor Supply or Harbor Freight, bought some big wheels, I guess that would, maybe go on, a large hand cart. And it basically sits out in my front yard in the summer at about 7 o'clock, about this time of the year is we getting into late summer, about 7 o'clock. They're 4 panels, and they're 395 watts. So to me, that's a lot. I mean, there's obviously solar farms out there that make that thing look like kids play, but I can get out there, and the sun comes up over those oak trees, and it hits it almost all day long. I get home from work, I go out there and just move it a little bit, and it keeps the batteries and everything topped off. It runs everything in my garage, my beer fridge, which is actually just full of water, chest freezer, the chicken coop, all the lights in the chicken coop, the doors, the little water fountain I got for the chickens, everything outside. And yeah, it runs the chicken coops in the garage is what I've got. And I'm starting to get into like a DIY thing. The solar generator and extra battery I currently have is some EcoFlow equipment. But
Gotcha.
I watch Will Prowse on YouTube, and he's absolutely fantastic. If anybody wants to get into solar or just learn about solar, look up Will Prowse on YouTube. He's like a rags to riches story. He lived in like an RV and on the Pacific Coast Highway, and now he's like multi-millionaire. He's got Teslas running out his ears. He lives in Las Vegas. The kid is fantastic. He's completely self-taught and absolutely fantastic. But I think I'll talk about what I've got going on with my little solar array, and how eventually I'm not going to hook it to the grid, but I think I'll have a large enough off-grid system that if I need to, I'll be able to plug it in, through a transfer switch and get it into the house, for the fridge and the freezer and a fan and a couple of lights. It's not going to run. I'm not going to have a 240 set up. It's not going to run the AC or the heater or anything like that. The furnace, everything but that, basically.
That is absolutely awesome. I'm still, I've done solar powering experiments. It was pretty successful, but they were simple, very simple, small experiments. The one thing that I want to do is they're now selling solar powered air conditioning mini splits.
I saw those.
They're amazing, and they look like a monkey could put them in. And I don't know if I'm that smart or not. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting one of those for my shed, because it's 200 degrees in my shed there. But yeah, it's very. They have some that'll run strictly on solar, and then they'll have one kind of a hybrid. They'll kick off and on whatever it needs.
Yeah,
but and they're not that expensive. And, if you have an off-grid cabin or a small home, or your current HVAC system, doesn't reach like the back office, those mini splits are absolutely fantastic. I mean, they've been very popular over, in the EU and, in other parts of the world. Why we're just getting them, I don't know. Normally, folks in the U.S. we're the trailblazers. We get the technology first, but no, it's been very popular in the
it's
EU.
The power companies wanting to keep their money is what it probably is.
Oh, you might be right.
Yeah, I'm dying to install one. I would get one of those that has like that switch you can turn on the side, that boat switch. You can go from either or straight solar. I just want to go. I would love to be completely off the grid. I have a property in North Carolina that I have so many aspirations for. I just don't have time to be there. But that would be like one of the first things that I would probably get hooked up there. And they basically drill a hole and run an extension cord.
That's it.
It's basically and mount this and mount that, and you're done.
Yeah. Get a hole saw right through there, and you run the lines. They're pre-charged with the Freon. You plug it in.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably not screw that up. Like, I can't guarantee it.
I feel like I could do it if I had to, but I just don't want to. I'd be that guy. I'd be like, what's a psh?
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like we actually have a couple of questions for you there. Catitude is asking, actually, there's several. Ian asks, was there ever a time you question yourself about prepping?
No, never. Mm-mm. No.
That was easy.
No, it's easy. I mean, prepping is easy. I've talked about it several times, talked about it last time in the podcast. Some people don't like the term prepper. Again, it has a negative connotation to some people, but and I said this in the podcast last night, if you have a bunch of flashlights and lanterns and emergency candles, and you're worried about the hurricane coming through and getting the power knocked out, well, guess what you just did? You prepped for a situation.
Yeah,
and I'm sure some people are like, don't you call me a prepper? But, it's never questioned it at all. I mean, it's just, to me, again, no pun intended, but it's all common sense. It's where you live. Are you prone to wildfires, earthquakes, tsunamis? I got that alert the other night on my phone that earthquake up in the Kamchatka, whatever peninsula in Russia, and the tsunamis. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
I gotcha. Yeah, let's see here. West Virginia Pappy's asking, as an urban prepper, do you plan on bugging in or bugging out?
Well, I don't have any property in North Carolina like you. I don't have my log cabin built in the mountains of East Tennessee yet. But yeah, it would be a bug-in situation because, again, it's all relative. There's so many different degrees when an shtf situation comes along. And given the situation, if the poop really hits the fan, I'm staying in. I'm bugging in. I don't have anywhere to go. I'm going to stay in and just do the best I can with what I have. I have no plans to jump in my Jeep because where am I going to go? You have to have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't hit 95 north and be like,
I'm
going to go north.
The first step in bugging out is not to have a bag, but to have some place you're actually going to that's better
Yeah,
than you are now. And a lot of
exactly.
people
Just
don't
don't. Yeah.
have that. A lot of people don't
Mhm.
have that. So
No, I'm staying put.
let's see here. Rose is asking, what do you feel you should have done better?
Started earlier, I guess. Yeah, and again, I can't really point to a day where I woke up and been like, I'm going to start buying corn, or I'm going to start stockpiling water in 55-gallon blue barrels. Um, but I'm at a point now where I'm very comfortable with what I have. Again, it's
Hmm.
different. If the power goes out and the power goes out for 7 days, piece of cake.
Hmm.
Gangs of marauding thugs running through my neighborhood, it's going to be dicey for a while.
Hmm.
It really just depends. But I guess if I had started earlier, um, I would have had, it's like I said, it's a journey. I learn something new every day. I may
Hmm.
have too much rice. I may have too much bow tie pasta in my pantry, and I just checked my olives, this four pack of olives, these huge jars of olives at Costco have now expired. They're
Hmm.
past the best use date. But
Yeah.
if you do your homework, just because something, the best use date January 1, 2025, does not mean the olives have gone bad, the corn's gone bad.
Yeah.
But I,
Yeah.
I think I got a little I think I got a little overzealous at Costco one time, and
Yeah.
pretty much bought all the all the tuna that they had. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of tuna fish sandwiches around the house.
Yeah. I guess the biggest mistake I ever made was when I first got into preparedness, I bought a year's worth of freeze dried food. And so now it's all going to go bad if I don't start doing something with it. And it's that 25-year Thrive food. I always
Yep.
say I have a year's worth of food under my bed. It's like that's to me, that's like, hey, I'm good to go. I got food, forever, basically. And
Yep.
it's like, well, that clock is ticking. So
Right.
now I have to like start doing something else. It'll catch up with you. It'll catch up with you.
Yep.
Now, the other thing too is, after you've been doing it for a while, people, and I'm sure you've experienced this as well. It's like you almost feel like you're becoming complacent because you have so many things and you have a
Mhm.
semblance of a plan and you have ideas and you're
Right.
thinking about more of the big picture stuff instead of, hey, do I have a flashlight in every car and things like that.
Right.
So yeah, that can definitely come and get people.
Yeah,
Um,
there's always something else to prep. There's always, a new gadget. I mean, I'm a guy, so
mhm,
I'm a gadget guy, and
yeah.
gadgets all over the place. Always, there's always something you can improve upon it, and there's no issue with that.
Hmm.
I guess if you have the money, you have the discretionary income, and you're not taken away from your bills and the other responsibilities you have in your life, the fiscal responsibilities, then I say go for it. But
Hmm.
yeah, there's always something you can improve, and that's with anything. It's your job, whatever it happens to be, prepping. It could be anything. There's always room to grow.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. It looks like we have a few more questions in the chat here, but at the
Sure.
half hour, I've got to pay some bills, so you can have about a minute to take a break or whatever it is. So, guys, as usual, you guys know the deal. If you love your country, not your government, but if you love your country, put a number one in the chat. America. I'm gonna drink some coffee. I'm gonna talk some smack. I'm gonna give Keith a rest, and we're gonna pay some bills. Here we go. Time to get serious, guys. Come here. What if the medical kit you carry could be trusted to save a life every single time? I'm here to tell you about Refuge Medical, an American company that's redefining what it means to be prepared. Now, Refuge Medical is proudly 100% American, based in Oklahoma. Every single component in their first aid kit and trauma gear, from the tourniquet to the gauze to the trauma shears, is sourced right here in America. No shortcuts, no compromises. When you choose Refuge Medical, you're not just investing in your safety or your loved ones. You're supporting American families and rebuilding American manufacturing, which is kind of important right now. Now, why are refuge medical kits the best on the planet? Well, it's simple because they're field tested and trusted by professionals and built to exceed military standards. Why settle for less when you can trust the best? Choosing Refuge Medical, American made, unmatched quality, and guaranteed for life. Just smart. Refuge Medical isn't just about gear, it's about giving you the confidence to act when it matters the most. Back to the show. Okay, there we
Very
go.
nice.
And I'm sure, and I actually that used to be a 2-minute commercial, but I've cut it down to a minute for everybody because after a while people are getting battered by it. I'm just a
Right.
huge advocate of that company because the stuff that they make is just unbelievable. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go back to the chat because I know there were more questions in that chat. We
I saw
were
something from Pappy asked about a solar tracking array, I believe.
okay.
Um, I looked into that. I called the county where I live, and I said, "How far does a permanent or a ground mount solar array? What are the parameters?" I don't have an HOA, but obviously I don't want to get in trouble with the county. And it has to be a permanent array. Something that's ground mounted has to be 80 feet away from the road. Well, you got the 15-foot easement, then 80 foot, and that probably puts you in my living room. So I had to go with something portable, and I would have gotten Eco Eco Power. Is it Eco Power? Another solar company out there.
Hmm.
They've really stepped up their game. In my opinion, they've had some really poopy stuff out there, but their ground mounts have improved. The newest version, as well as their solar tracking. They have one that goes on 2 axis, and there's a 4 axis version. But it's my shade trees. I love my shade trees. So if I stuck that out there, you know, I think it looked kind of cool. But
Hmm.
the panels that I have are large. They are enormous, commercial size panels, and they weigh a ton. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the mobile array. When the fall comes around, I push it, into the backyard. Certainly don't get as much sun. I may have to add a couple of the panels to help it keep up. But yeah, I looked at them, and when I get the off-grid property in the log cabin in East Tennessee, I will definitely
Hmm.
have one of those solar tracking setups along with
Yeah.
a permanent
I would
array.
love to have a permanent system, but that's just not
Yeah.
happening today. There was another question, and then I just realized I can put questions inside on the stream too.
Oh,
Skanes
that
Girl
looks kind of
says,
cool.
"What influencing factors have caused your prepping to evolve?"
Well, it's you know, politics aside, it's the economy, and as in my opinion, as the economy starts to improve, I'm not going to stop, because the moment you stop, just like you said a few minutes ago, you get complacent. You get sloppy, and there might be you might just find out there's a significant gap in your preps, and you may find that gap at a pretty inopportune moment. But
Hmm.
it's current events, and I talk about the podcast. I try not to talk about politics, but it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to talk about current events and not have politics kind of squeak into it. And again, I keep
Yeah.
it at a very low level. I've got friends on the left that prep, friends on the right, libertarian. It makes no difference. When the poop hits the fan, my friends on the left, they're going to be prepared. Friends on the right, and everybody in between, if that's what they choose to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's become so pervasive, and it's inside of everything. Politics is just, it's like this nasty, virus we can't get rid of, and it's permeated everything down into every nook and cranny of our lives, whether
Right.
we like it or not.
Right.
But
Exactly.
all right, let's see here. I've got another question. I've got a question here from Catitude. Catitude says, living in an urban, I guess, area, do you have more concerns with neighbors and safety?
Yeah, that's always a concern. For all I know, the people 3 doors down or a block over, they may prep. So you just never know. Um,
Hmm.
I was a police officer in the county. I live in the county where I was a police officer, and when this house came up for sale, um, this part of the county used to be very close to the beat that I had. And when I saw this house come up on the market, I called my realtor. I'm like, "We're going over there right now," because when I moved in here 11 years ago, I was the youngest person by like 30 years.
Wow.
My home was built in '59. The brick rancher. It's cinder block, and yeah, cinder block behind brick. it's built like a bomb shelter, no pun intended, but it's a very sturdy house. The neighborhood's been here forever. A lot of older folk live here, and that's changing. Unfortunately, a lot of
Hmm.
folks, those folks have passed on, and the demographics are changing. A lot of rentals now, but it's, as a police officer, I saw it. I spoke about it on a podcast forever ago. I think it was Katrina, Hurricane Katrina. We were without power for 10 days. I was living in an apartment at the time, and I was a patrolman. So as soon as, we got the trees cut away from the entrance to the apartment complex, I had to go to work. And I saw people mob an ice truck, a truck full of ice that was taking the ice to the 7-Eleven that had power,
Hmm.
because most of your main roads, especially if you're near a police station or a fire station or a hospital, you're going to be on the same grid as them. They're normally the last, the last to lose power. But I
Hmm.
saw people mob this guy just making his, whatever the ice company with the big penguin on the side. This guy pulls up, and these people are like running at it like he had gold bars in the back of that truck. And I'm thinking,
Hmm.
you don't have power. Your food is already spoiled. Why do you want ice?
Hmm.
I guess get ice for your cooler so you can, get your bologna and your cheese, or try to ice down what has it spoiled. But, you've all seen the videos of people just, all the shenanigans that are going on for basically no reason. But yeah, these people were going after that guy in his ice truck, like he was handing out gold bars. And
Yeah.
people, people will get very desperate very quick.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you know, you hear about on the news, somebody gets shot over their phone. Somebody honks the horn at somebody on the interstate. They get run off the road. They get shot. They get injured. So if somebody's going to hurt somebody for their iPhone, you bet your butt that they're going to do that or worse for a loaf of bread or a 5-gallon bucket of rice. And
Oh yeah.
that's what scares me the most. That's what
Hmm.
scares me the most is what if it devolved to that point.
Uh-huh.
Your friends may not be your friends because hungry people do desperate things. So it's that's the X factor, I guess, that you have to try to factor it in as best you can. But that's always the wild card. You really never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate but true because human nature is pretty crazy after about 3 days. People
Mhm.
kind of sink back to their, their panic-driven personalities or lives or whatever it may be. Let me go ahead and kill that one right. Let's see. I thought there was another one here. You're not yourself when you're hungry. Very true. Very true.
Yeah, if
Um,
I skip lunch, I get angry if I miss lunch.
someone's gonna die. Yeah, people, we talk about it from time to time in either the live streams or the or just videos on human nature. But people forget people are animals. It's that easy. They have baser
Yep,
instincts. They have the instinct to survive, and they'll do what is necessary if it means surviving, or unfortunately worse, if it means that their family survives, if their family eats,
mhm,
if their family is safe. They'll do some pretty crazy things that they just weren't thinking about.
100%.
Um, where are we at here? Rose is saying something. What's Rose saying? Rose is saying a lot of times it's not mostly runs on stores are caused by media, whether it was intended or not. The whole people just going a little crazy,
Mhm.
just going a little crazy. So how, if you don't mind me asking, how does your law enforcement background mix into this preparedness lifestyle? You've had to have gotten a few benefits from it. I'm military, so I
Oh
know I
my
had
gosh. Oh
benefits,
yeah.
but
So,
law enforcement, you should have some definite benefits from that.
100%. So I talked about it several times on my podcast. It's situational awareness, and again, I talk about situational awareness, and it doesn't have to be. If you folks have noticed, you go into a pizza place or a restaurant. If there's officers in uniform, normally they're facing the door. They don't like to
Mhm.
have their back towards the door. If you're sitting across from their partner, somebody's always watching the door, and unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. And you know, that applies to the civilian world as well. There's a fine line between situational awareness, and being paranoid. Um, when you're sitting at a stoplight, um, always leave at least a half of a car length space between you and the car in front of you. Don't get right up next to their bumper, because what happens if there's an accident behind you, road rage, somebody jumps out with a baseball bat and they're upset at the guy behind you or the gal in front of you, you got to go. You need to get out of there. And if
Hmm.
you're jammed in between everybody, you're stuck. Um, it's, when you're walking down the street, whether it's noon or midnight, if you're walking down the street and you see somebody or you see something, and the hair stands up on the back of your neck, always trust your gut and go to the other side of the street. Don't be worried about, oh, they're going to be upset with me or they're going to think, no, I'm going to go to the other side of the street. Um,
Hmm.
and that's basically, it's funny. After 26 years of doing what I did, it's when I retired, it was easy for me to retire. I mean, I haven't had a haircut. My hair is almost down to my butt. Been retired 9 years. Haven't had a true haircut since I retired. Um, but it was easy for me to retire. I was able to leave the job behind. A lot of police officers I
Hmm.
know were not able to do that. They eat, live, and breathe, or however you say that, law enforcement 24/7. I know cops that have died at their desk because, oh, I don't know. I don't want to do anything else. I don't know how to do
Hmm.
anything else. Well, just go home, sit on the couch, drink a beer, mow the lawn, and be like everybody else. But yeah, it did. Obviously, there's the firearm skills, there's the self-defense, defensive tactics type of thing. But it's almost like I've gotten to the point, when I was a police officer, and to this day, I can look at somebody and you can almost tell if they're up to no good. I don't read
Yeah.
minds or anything, but it's the way people
Yeah.
carry themselves, the way they're walking. It's just I've seen enough of that kind of behavior, good and bad, that you can detect a threat, with a pretty good accuracy.
Hmm.
And you never know because you walk to the other side of the street, or because you were situationally aware of something and you did something different. There's no way to know how many pickles you didn't get yourself into, by walking to the other side of the street or taking the hand of whoever you're with
Hmm.
and say, let's go over here and say, I don't, let's not go in this restaurant. Let's eat next door. Or this parking lot, just something a little hinky about this parking lot. Why don't we go down one block and park in the parking garage, or whatever
Hmm.
happens to be. You never know what you didn't get involved in because you listen to your gut, and you're not paranoid. It's just something just didn't feel right. And I always tell people just to trust their gut, regardless of what it is, regardless of
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, I'm tracking with you, man. I did a lot of asset security after I got out of the Marine Corps, and I'm always like, that guy's been behind me too long, and I know he's just trying to get down the damn road. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I know that he's making the same maneuvers I am because because I'm driving smart and he doesn't want to get in traffic, and I know he's doing all that. But in the back of my brain, it's like
Mhm.
that car's been behind me too long. Time to pull off to get some gas or to slow down and see what he
Yeah.
does, you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, it's difficult to get it out of your system, but I was lucky too. I had 13 years after the Marine Corps to get that out of my system, and some of the jobs I did helped, and some of them didn't, and it's like, but yeah, that ability to turn it off and just let
Mhm.
that part of your brain kind of relax a little bit. It's pretty
Yep.
nice. I know some guys, like you said, it's like the old adage was, an infantry sergeant major, you would normally find him dead in a tree stand within 6 months of retirement because he just didn't know what else to do, you
Right.
know.
Exactly. Exactly.
But let's see here. So we got soil radio operator. I don't recognize you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bro. I'm going to put you up here and see what you've got to say. It says the collapse is already underway, but it won't happen like Hollywood has to portray it to fit in the 90-minute flick. People can't afford housing, food, and electric bills, and it's occurring now, slowly and steadily. What are your
Hard
thoughts
to
on
argue with
that?
that. No, yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Society has definitely changed. Um, you can almost, the way I look at it, the the line of demarcation, if you would, was almost COVID. There's things that were pre-COVID, then there was the during, then there's the post-COVID society. I guess it sounds kind of weird, but it's I talked about it a little bit of how but it's hard to articulate. Just things have changed. Um, Customer service has gone completely down the tubes.
Oh
Whether
my
you're going to
God.
Wendy's or
Yes.
you're calling the cable company, or whether you're trying to go through the 10 item or less checkout, and the person in front of you got 1,700 items. I think that I don't know. And I may be, yeah, I may just be making this up, but I think people, I don't want to use the word lazy. I don't want to use the word complacent, but I think there's I guess maybe a sense of entitlement with a lot of people.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what happened um, during COVID. Everybody got their checks for not going to work, and now you have all these people that have just removed themselves from the job market. Um, rent for a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment near me is like $1,800 a month. And you know as well as I do, you hear the stories all the time. Young kids, they can't afford a mortgage at 7.5%. So
Mhm.
we're just going to become a society of renters. And when you
Yeah.
rent, you're not tied to the property. You don't have um, what's the word I'm looking for? A sense of accomplishment or whatever. You don't have a lawn to
Mhm.
mow. You don't care if the plumbing goes to crap and that starts leaking, and you just call the maintenance guy.
Yeah.
A sense of pride, I guess. You don't have a sense
Mhm.
of pride when you're just living in an apartment. The people are playing the music too loud. You really don't care if things break. But it's something changed, and it's kind of hard to put my finger on. It's even more difficult to articulate at times. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's things have changed, and most things have changed, and not for the better. I'm not going to
Yeah.
say everything's gone to crap, but a lot has.
Yeah. And the other thing too that I agree with what everything you just said. But I'm starting to wonder, it's like it's almost like, it's like there's no reason for them. They don't see any benefit to them working. They don't see any benefit to them. I won't say they don't see a benefit to owning a house, but I think that there's something there as well. It's and because we're actually kind of raising a generation of people who won't have a hometown,
Mhm.
because there's no, like you said, there's no connection to the land.
Right.
I grew up as a military brat, and every 3 years I was someplace else. So I didn't have, like, people ask me like, "Hey, what's your hometown?" I don't have one. I'm sorry.
Right.
I have what I think is my hometown, but I know it's not because I only spent 3 years there. Um,
Right.
but so there's no connection to that with people, and the and then with the job markets, it's there. There's no sense of pride in the work because there's no realization that they need to be there. There's no benefit for them to be there other than just for the cash. There's nothing beyond
Mhm.
that. When 30, 40, 50-year-olds are working the drive-through at the Burger King, there's no future in it for them. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? This is where I'm going to work until I die, basically, is their mentality,
Right.
because there's no upward mobility from that at all. You know,
Right.
um, that's why those jobs were meant for high school and college students.
Exactly.
There's, but yeah, I see it too. Have you used any of the AI yet at any of the fast food places?
I try not to eat fast food. I
You
was
look too healthy
sorry.
to me, man.
I I went to McDonald's probably 6 months ago. I told I'm like, don't do it. Don't get the quarter pounder. And I paid for it. I'm like, how in the world did I grow up on this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I went in, and you saw the big kiosk. I'm like, where are the people? And it's just this big board. And I'm punching, trying to figure out the order, and I pay for it. I tap my card, and then like 5 minutes later, somebody comes from around the corner. They're like, number 75. I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
And they hand me a bag. I'm like, where's everybody at? And I could hear them. I worked at McDonald's when I was a senior in high school before I went to college, and it
Hmm.
was it was just like everyone thinks of McDonald's. Got people running all over the place, throwing burgers all over, but
Hmm.
drive through, and yeah, but it was really weird.
Yeah. And well, I'm here to tell the AI doesn't help. The AI doesn't help. We have a Bojangles here, and they put the drive-through is ran by AI. And so, you talk to it, it talks back to you. And then well, so I ordered like a family meal, right? And the family meal comes with a drink or like a big gallon of something, right? And it's I told it what I wanted and told it what my sides were, and it was all on top of that. It's like, okay, your total is this, this, and this. And I said, doesn't it come with a drink? And it goes,
Uh-oh.
oh, you're right. What would you like? It's like, oh, I see. It's already trying to game. This is how it gets us.
Yeah, exactly.
It starts off with jippiness out of a gallon of iced tea, and the
That's
next
how it
thing you
starts.
know, it's mechanical overlords crushing our skulls. You know,
That's right. Yeah.
that's crazy. Where are we at here? Somebody had put something in here. Where are we at here? Rose said, and we're not going to stay on this too long, but Rose said, but with the cost of home and property today, who can afford it? The prices have become outrageous. I will talk about this. This is absolutely ridiculous in my world. All right. My property in North Carolina, the day I bought it, I paid $160,000 for it. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, almost 4-bedroom, 2-level house on 6 acres of land with most of it cleared. All right. Now it's worth $290,000. I've done absolutely nothing to it. Why? How did this happen? There are speculators. There are people that are just boosting these prices for no reason whatsoever. Here on the Eastern Shore of Virginia, you cannot find a place to rent. You cannot find a place to buy or lease. It is so locked up right now because of these prices that the hospital can't hire anybody. They have hospital shortage. They can't hire anybody because there's no place for them to live. The schools can't hire any new teachers or educators. There's no place for them to live. The only people that are working on the Eastern Shore of Virginia are people who have been here or grew up here their entire lives. That's it. Yep. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if it can happen here, it can happen everywhere. And it's something that you probably need to be writing your senators about. I mean, ours here in Virginia are pretty much useless. There's a couple of good ones, but they're pretty much useless. But it doesn't have to be like that for everybody. So let's see here. And then where we at? Okay. Where we got here? Soil radar operator says $3. $3 bought a dinner plate in your day with West Virginia Pappy. Now 20 gets you 1-person bag of slop with Mickey D's. Them youngins might be on to something. Yeah, well, them youngins are about to find themselves out of a job. AI is about to take their job. It's a little scary. AI is a little scary. It's a little scary. I try to do a little bit of AI studying pretty much every day, just watching different YouTube videos, things like that about people who have been doing experiments that are far smarter than I am. But it can be a little crazy. It can be a little crazy. All right, let's see here. I'm trying to see. So we talked. What did we talk about? What you got? You got into prepping. You did your podcast. Retired cop. What other stuff? What would you like to talk about?
Let me give a couple shameless plugs if I could.
Definitely.
Yeah, the commercial you did on was it Refuge Medical?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at them. I need to get an IFAC, an individual first aid kit, and I was looking at trying to price everything individually, and for convenience sake, I think I'm just going to go ahead and just and they're not cheap, but I mean you get what you pay for, and it's certainly worth the money in the event you have to put on a tourniquet, or you have to put the tourniquet on somebody else, and if it it saves somebody's life, and it's worth every penny. But I have recently become part of the affiliate program with Augustin Farms.
Yeah,
so I have an affiliate link. Yeah, I have an affiliate link on. I put it in all the show descriptions. It's on the website. It's pinned to the top of my Twitter feed, my X feed, whatever. On X, the official handle is prep_podcast, or just search Common Sense Practical Prepper, and it'll pop up. So I try to a podcast at least once a week. It really just depends on what's going on current events. If I want to talk about something, or I have something going on here at the house. But the affiliate link is I filled out all the paperwork and told them what I wanted to do with it and stuff, and they approved it. So it's interesting. We'll see. We'll see what comes out of it. I'm not going to be a multimillionaire with an affiliate link or anything like that, but it's interesting. I see it all the time. On YouTube, people are like, affiliate link, down here, click this, get 10% off, that sort of thing. Yeah, but that's the podcast. Give it a listen. If you think it's cool, go ahead and subscribe and follow. If you don't like it, perfectly okay. Then at least you got a chance to listen to one of them. But I try to keep current events. I try to keep it as current as I can. I'm going to go back and, like I said, talk a little bit about my solar setup here. I stay away from politics as best I can. There's just no need.
Gotcha.
But it's a couple shameless plugs.
Yeah, no worries, bro. Okay, so I think that's going to be about it for today. Keith, I'll be honest with you. The way I have this thing programmed, I don't know what's going to happen after I push this button. But either way, I'm gonna dump you out, and then I'm gonna come right back to you. If your screen goes wacko, I don't know.
No problem. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, hey, so the Refuge Medical thing, just to let you know, like I said, it used to be a 2-minute commercial. Anything you use to save a life, they give back to you for free. If you have a blowout or something gets damaged, you just send it to them. They'll send you a brand new one right to you. Guaranteed for life. All right, guys, that's going to be about it. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. I'm going to fix this chat thing, whatever. I don't know what happened. It's always something. It's always something. Stay safe. Have a great day, and I shall see you when I see you. Bye-bye.
When central power rules the game, when thoughts controlled in freedom's name, when the governed lose to government might, tell me who's got the wrong kind of right.
All right.
Oh, this thing. Okay.
What's it doing now?
We're still on.
Oh, hey, everybody.
Because I
from the wall.
I have this thing set up as an outro, and so I guess when I automatically hit the end stream, the outro plays. But I played the outro, so I have to do it again. No, I don't. Yeah, I do. All right, love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. And Keith, thanks for hanging out.
Sure, anytime.